The Clockmaker's Curse. In the small, rain-soaked village of Black Hollow, there stood an ancient clock shop that no one dared enter after dark. Its owner, Mr. Hargrove, had disappeared decades ago, leaving behind only whispers of his strange experiments with time. The clocks inside the shop were said to keep ticking, their hands moving in unison even though no one wound them anymore. Locals claimed they could hear the faint chime of their bells at midnight, but no one ever saw who maintained them. One stormy evening, Clara, a young journalist, arrived in Black Hollow, determined to uncover the mystery. She was skeptical of the villagers' superstitions and convinced that the tale was nothing more than folklore. With her flashlight and notepad in hand, she pushed open the creaking door of Hargrove's shop. Inside, the air was thick with dust and the faint smell of burnt wood. Dozens of clocks lined the walls, each more ornate than the last, their hands frozen at different times. Clara moved cautiously, her flashlight casting eerie shadows. A grand-grandfather clock at the back of the shop drew her attention. Unlike the others, it was still ticking, its pendulum swinging steadily. She approached it, noticing an inscription on the brass plate. To meddle with time is to invite it to meddle with you. Ignoring the warning, Clara touched the pendulum. The room groaned, the air seemed to ripple, and all the clocks suddenly began ticking in perfect synchronization. A deafening chime filled the shop, and when it subsided, Clara found herself standing in a different version of the shop, brighter, cleaner, and filled with the faint hum of activity. "Who dares disturb my work?" a voice hissed behind her. Clara spun around to see Mr. Hargrove, his eyes glowing faintly, his face gaunt and stretched as if time had warped him. He held a strange device, a combination of gears and glass that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. "I didn't mean to," Clara began, but he cut her off. "You've triggered the cycle," Hargrove growled. "Do you know what you've done? Time will not forgive this." The clocks on the walls began to speed up, their hands spinning wildly. Clara felt a strange pull, as if her body were being unraveled. She reached for the door, but it had disappeared, replaced by an endless hallway of clocks, each showing a different moment in time. "No one escapes," Hargrove said, with a twisted grin. "You'll become one of them." Clara turned to run, but her reflection in a nearby clock stopped her cold. She saw herself, aged beyond recognition, trapped behind the glass, pounding desperately. The clock's chimes grew louder, their rhythm echoing in her chest. "No!" she screamed, but it was too late. Her body dissolved into a mist of gears and whispers, her essence absorbed into the clocks. When the villagers entered the shop the next morning, they found it as it had always been, silent, dusty, and still. But one clock was new, a small, ornate piece with a face that bore an uncanny resemblance to Clara's. Its hands ticked steadily, marking time in a place where it no longer held meaning. If you liked the story, put a like and a subscribe, and write your favorite horror story in the comments.